Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Tuan-tuan, puan-puan, para peserta Excelib yang dihormati, majlis diteruskan dengan sesi ketiga. Bagi memberkati majlis pada petang ini, marilah kita mulakan dengan bacaan umul kitab Al-Fatihah. Amin ya Rabbal Alamin. Yang berbahagia Profesor Datuk Asma binti Ismail, Presiden Akademi Sains Malaysia. Yang berusaha Puan Hajah Zaharah binti Abdul Samad, Ketua Pustakawan Perpustakaan Tunku Tun Aminah, merangkap Ketua Program Excelib. Yang dihormati Puan Nur Aziah binti Syarudin selaku Moderator Program. Barisan Ketua-Ketua Pustakawan Universiti Awam, Barisan Timbalan-Timbalan Ketua Pustakawan Universiti Awam, tuan-tuan, puan-puan, para peserta program yang dihormati. Program Excelib sesi 3 akan diteruskan dengan perkongsian oleh yang berbahagia Profesor Datuk Asma binti Ismail. Untuk makluman, program ini akan dikendalikan oleh Puan Nur Aziah binti Syarudin selaku Moderator Program. Untuk pengetahuan hadirin, Puan Nur Aziah binti Syarudin merupakan mantan Ketua Pustakawan Universiti Teknologi Malaysia. Alumni Sarjana Muda Institut Teknologi Mara, kini dikenali sebagai UiTM, dan Loughborough University of Technology, United Kingdom ini amat aktif dalam pelbagai jawatan kuasa di peringkat universiti, negeri dan juga negara. Beliau juga aktif membentangkan kertas kerja dan menghasilkan penulisan di dalam jurnal kebangsaan dan antarabangsa. Beliau telah terlibat dari awal dalam pensijilan ISO 9001 Perpustakaan UTM dan penerapan payauan BS 11620 Information and Documentation Library Performance Indicators di UTM. Puan Nur Aziah binti Syarudin telah bersara pada Mei 2021 setelah berkhidmat di Perpustakaan UTM selama 37 tahun. Namun begitu, beliau masih lagi menyumbangkan tenaga dan idea kepada pustakawan seperti program pada hari ini. Tanpa melengahkan masa, majlis dengan segala hormatnya mempersilakan Puan Nur Aziah binti Syarudin bersama yang berbahagia Profesor Datuk Asma binti Ismail untuk perkongsian topik Inspiring Value-Based Leadership Amongst Library Leaders. Dengan hormatnya dipersilakan.
Terima kasih Puan Siti Raudah. Assalamualaikum dan salam sejahtera semua. Yang berbahagia Profesor Datuk Dr. Asma binti Ismail, Presiden Akademi Sains Malaysia. Yang berusaha Puan Hajah Zaharah Abdul Samad, Ketua Pustakawan Perpustakaan Tunku Tun Aminah UTHM, merangkap Ketua Program Excelib, Barisan Ketua-Ketua Pustakawan dan Timbalan-Timbalan Ketua Pustakawan Universiti Awam, tuan-tuan, puan-puan, para peserta program yang dihormati sekalian. Alhamdulillah ya, kita dapat meneruskan lagi sesi ketiga pada petang ini bersama dengan seorang tokoh akademik yang tidak asing lagi bagi kita semua, iaitu yang berbahagia Datuk Dr. Asma binti Ismail dengan topiknya yang menarik iaitu Inspiring Values-Based Leadership Amongst Library Leaders. Sebelum itu, izinkan saya membacakan sedikit profil yang berbahagia Datuk dalam bahasa Inggeris. Profesor Datuk Dr. Asma Ismail is a woman of many firsts. She was the first female Vice Chancellor of USIM, first female Vice Chancellor for USM, first woman to be appointed twice as the Vice Chancellor of a public university, first female Director General of Higher Education. Currently, she is the first female President of Academy of Sciences Malaysia, and she is also the first female to be chairperson of the Malaysian Qualification Agency MQA. Her current position is as the Ibn Sina Chair for Medicine of UIM. She is also the Honorary Professor at the Institute for Research in Molecular Medicine USM and Associate Research Fellow at the Biotech Research Institute UMS. She graduated with a Bachelor of Science Biology from the University of Nevada, Reno, USA, MA Microbiology from Indiana University, USA, dan a PhD in Cellular and Molecular Biology from University of Nevada, Reno, USA juga. Her scholarly publication has won her numerous awards and recognitions, including the National Young Scientist Award, National Innovation Award, International Federation of Investors Award, Malaysia Touré Science and Technology Award, Avon Tan Sri Fatimah Woman of Distinction Award, tokoh Sri Kandi Negara dan tokoh Maulidur Rasul Kebangsaan. She was elected to the Academy of Sciences Malaysia in 2003, the Academy of Sciences for the Developing World, the Islamic World Academy of Sciences, and was also elected as honorary member of the Iranian Academy of Medical Sciences in 2017. In recognition of her leadership in lifelong learning in the Commonwealth, especially for women, and her outstanding service to the advancement of higher education and science in Malaysia, she was conferred as Honorary Fellow of the Commonwealth of Learning and Honorary Scholar for Institute for Applied System Analysis, Vienna, Austria in 2019. Her passion for higher education and science development ecosystem gained her national and international recognitions. Her landmark contribution to Malaysia's higher education system include the establishment of the prestigious Anugerah Akademik Negara, the establishment of research universities in Malaysia, and in co-helming the development and implementation of the Malaysian Education Blueprint Higher Education 2013 till 2025. For her outstanding contributions and being an exemplary figure in the field of higher education, research, innovation, and policy on science and technology locally and abroad, she received an honorary Doctor of Science from University of Glasgow, Indiana University Thomas Hart Benton Mural Medallion in 2015, honorary degree Doctor of the University Keele University, and honorary doctorate in literature from Kyoto University of Foreign Studies in 2017. Itu tadi ya, CV ringkas Datuk ya. Saya cuba nak ringkas lagi tak boleh, Datuk minta maaf ya. Ada panjang lagi sebenarnya dan saya sangat teruja membaca biodata ni sebenarnya ya. Dan saya rasa bangga sebab she's the woman of the first, selalu first. So I think this is the first kita punya engagement dengan KP dan TKP. Yang boleh masuk record juga Datuk ya. Okay. So jadi kita semua teruja sebenarnya nak mendengar daripada Datuk Asma sendiri sebagai orang yang luar daripada library, dan kita rasa kita tidak perlu melengahkan masa lagi sebab kita nak dengar daripada Datuk sendiri yang akan mengupas topik menarik pada hari ini, iaitu inspiring values based leadership among library leaders. Jadi saya rasa tajuk ini akan membuka minda kita dan saya berharapkan kita akan mendapat ilmu baru daripada Datuk sendiri, dan saya yakin dan percaya Datuk memang banyak idea. Semalam pun kita dah berbincang ya, dan di situ juga sudah tercetus saya menjangkakan topik ini akan jadi sangat membuka minda sebenarnya. Tanpa melengahkan masa lagi Datuk, saya mempersilakan Datuk untuk mengupas tajuk ini. Terima kasih.
Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera. Terima kasih banyak Puan Nur Aziah for the kind introduction. Salam hormat juga kepada Puan Zahra as the chair for Excel Leap, and kepada semua chief librarian dan juga timbalan chief yang ada pada virtual space pada petang ni, yang semuanya saya hormati. Sebenarnya Puan Razia, is not the first time that saya engage dengan audience. Saya rasa dulu dah beberapa kali dah USM terlibat dalam this series dan saya juga ada engagement dengan librarian. So that's how I sort of get to know your professionalism in this aspect. So petang ni I would like to share with you. So let me get the slides first. And then let me know if you can see the slides. Nampak ke?
Okay, nampak.
Okay. Right. Okay. So what I wanted to share with all of you this afternoon is inspiring values-based leadership among library leaders. You know, I listened to Datuk Daud Bakar just before lunch today, and what he has to say about being a positive thinker and all that. But basically, I'm a realistic person. Dekat IUM sekarang ni lain pada USM. I hear a lot of words, but about philosophy, about you know, all sorts of thinking that needs to be there, framework dan sebagainya. But I'm a practical person. How do you put this into practice? You know, you can talk about what you need to have till the cows come home, but at the end of the day, you have to be reality, and reality check is very important to make sure that library and librarians continue to be relevant with the advent of the disruptive technologies that is now coming in. So this is the scope of my talk today. I'm going to cover living in a challenging and changing world and the impact of this disruptive technology on academic libraries, and question even the future of where the library is going to be, where the librarian is going to be, and even the future of research ecosystem. Where are we going and where are we heading? You know, because as president of Academy, of course, I'm responsible to see what is the landscape of the research, development, commercialization, innovation, and economic impact of our research to the country. And are libraries and librarians still relevant, especially with the advent of the digital era? And I'm going to touch base about leadership per se and expectations of library leaders. And then I'm going to discuss about values-based leadership and probably touch on issues and challenges that library leaders will need to face and what will be the way forward. So that is in short what I will be talking about. But let me begin, ladies and gentlemen, by saying that the world is changing at an incredible speed, and to lead any organization would mean to face many unknown challenges. So today is about facing a lot of unknown, and we all need to face change in order to stay relevant. But if you're going to be an exemplary leader, you need to understand the big picture. Kadang-kadang kita hidup dalam kita punya own world, the world of the library, but essentially the library is not by itself. It is in association to and connected to a lot of other things that is going on in the world. And therefore, you need to understand the big picture in order to understand what then becomes your role in leading the library organization. So, as we see now, the world is changing and we need to keep pace with the challenges of the 21st century, especially with library, is the change of pace due to the digital age. And then, of course, the disruptive technologies like artificial intelligence, blockchain, robotics, etc., that is now brought IoT, that is brought in by Industry 4.0. And then we have the climate change that is also changing things around, the global economic crisis that we are all facing, the global competition due to globalization, and of course, currently we are facing the COVID-19 pandemic. And all this has basically created disruptive change, not only in our lives. I mean, like currently we are all having this webinar basically on Zoom, online. Dulu kita mesti kena gather at one place, but now we can do this virtually from home. I don't have to travel anywhere. So and the outreach is a lot more because today is a closed system. But if you allow this to go on YouTube or you go on Facebook and stream live, then you can get a lot more audience sharing this information. So so these changes that we see have created the impact to our lives, impact on our livelihood. You can see what COVID has done to the livelihood. Many people have lost their jobs, many companies have to close, and of course the big impact to higher education and to the library itself. Now, what will be the impact? I'm going to deep dive straight lah, kita tak ada masa. So basically, I'm going to deep dive straight. What is the impact of the disruptive technology on academic libraries? Because at the moment now, as I've been made to understand, you're all chief librarians and deputy chief of IPTA. Tidak ada IPTS yang terlibat, because you're going to see some changes if there is going to be IPTS involved as well in this meeting. So, and you are not involved in a public library or in a community library, you are an academic library that you are handling. And therefore, an academic library, they are considered to be the heart of the university. So the major responsibility then of an academic library is to support and promote research and academic activities, right? And at the same time, you're going to make sure that the library is working effectively, not efficiently. Efficiently is a must, but what is more important is effectiveness. Yeah. So the library is also a social institution that is established to provide information services to their customers, and therefore does not operate in isolation of humans. So basically, you are a frontliner that needs to meet up with a lot of people, and clients is humans are your immediate stakeholders. Yeah. So what, ready or not, technology will drive the change to the library, and the advent of artificial intelligence and digital technologies will pose as major threats and actually challenge the library's survival and growth. But you can see now the web and social media is going to be history's greatest change agent. Whether you like it or not, this is going to be there. And in less than 2 decades, we have already seen what the web and social media has done. It has basically connected billions of people across the globe and actually reshaped the practices of commerce. Now everybody is going online. You don't go to supermarket anymore. Everything you buy is online. And e-commerce now becomes the in thing, especially with COVID. You're going to see that communication now is via Zoom. I mean, we've been doing Skype for so long, but where is Skype today when Zoom suddenly now becomes the in thing? So you can see that technology also, if you don't catch up, like what Skype had to not catch up, now Zoom becomes the technology of today for video conferencing and so on. So, and of course, the changes in politics, and of course, a great impact to education, all the way from the schools to the secondary schools and all the way to the universities. So with that, that's not surprising, because the future of research is also changing due to technology, right? And how research is now conceived, how research is completed, how research is communicated, all will change within the next 10 years. That is how fast it will change. And as you can see, the monopoly of printed information sources are now all displaced by digital information sources now. And open access will be the future. Sekarang ni mungkin baru permulaan, tapi open access will now be the future, whether you like it or not. And data and info sharing is now very much encouraged. So the question then is, why is all this happening? Because of the future of the research ecosystem, right? So as I said, you need to understand the big picture. And with COVID, you're going to see a lot of government is no longer able to bounce back in terms of resilience, in terms of the economic, the money that need to be there. So therefore, for research to continue, there are going to be new funding that is now going to come in. And this new funding, this is worldwide, this is not just Malaysia, this is worldwide. And new funding will now be lesser and lesser from the government, but more and more now will be coming from philanthropists. You know, like people like Bill Gates, they're already offering big grants. So like philanthropists, some organizations like Yayasan and so on and so forth. And of course, now the private sector is coming in to provide the grant. So if you, this is a study shown by Elsevier in Research Futures that Elsevier had done. Elsevier, of course, need to know where is going. As you know, you've been buying a lot of databases from Elsevier. But it needs to know where it is going to be 10 years from now, not far, 10 years from now. So they call, what they call together is a gathering of the brains, what they call is brain trust. And they ask this question, where is the world heading as far as research is concerned? And this is the story that is now about to be unfold. So when you see this question, there will be two in the research ecosystem. One is the researcher, and the other one is the research grant funders. And the grant funders now, what do they want? Now they want, because it's their money, this is coming from philanthropists, this is coming from organizations, this is coming from the private sector. They are no longer interested in just academic impact. They want to see demonstrable impact to society. All right, so, and then the researchers, of course, wherever there's money, that's where the researchers would want, but they want to be ahead and of the curve by exploring new things, but they want also to work faster and more flexibly, increasing impact and receiving better rewards for the work that were done. So basically, how is research conceived in the future? I said already that there will be now new funding models from philanthropists and from industry, and also from lesser now from public funding. But when this happen, of course, because it's the money of the philanthropists themselves, they would therefore need a demonstrable societal impact. And when what that means is that they don't want whatever research is to be kept with the researcher. They want this now to be made accessible to the public, right? And the sharing of information now is the way forward. And the future now is about performing research that is impactful and that is human-centric. So this is the future, not technology-centric, but human-centric using technology. But with industry funding, you find a bit different, because industry is about making money and about commercializing. So therefore, not all of the research data will be made available. But if commercializable, the data will be reserved while it is creating money, but return to the public when the commercialization arena is over for that particular product. But regardless of the accessibility of data, in order to get increase of sales volume, etc., the innovation that even the company produce must be acceptable to society. Otherwise, it cannot create sales. And therefore, even industry, even if they were giving money, they will also need to see impact. So funding for blue sky research per se will be reduced, but the emphasis now is on development of practical solutions. So fundamental money is there, but the fundamental cannot stop at fundamental, and the fundamental research need to move now to creating translational research that is providing practical solutions of impact to society. So tomorrow is also about collaboration. And as I think Datuk Bakar mentioned, that even among libraries in IPTA are not collaborating, but I hope the wall should now break down, because the future is about collaboration. And funders, basically, when they fund money, they now dictate what needs to be done, because it's their money, and therefore they want interdisciplinary, they want to see cross-institution, they want to see global collaboration, and they will insist on the sharing of data as it enables research to be now more open, and people can now access to that, and the researchers will now demonstrate interdisciplinary skills, and those researchers who work by themselves in their own lab will no longer be the one that is needed, but the researchers who can work with others, interdisciplinary, are now going to be a more successful researcher. So you see the turnaround for research and researchers are also changing. And therefore open access, because they will insist on making things available for the public. Open access now become very much more prominent, and the global and interdisciplinary collaboration will be increased. And this is aided now by virtual reality and augmented reality tools. And therefore, the ability to mine the data, not the date, but the data. The data now is called metadata. That's how they're mining now. And it's important in order to cater for the need of the clients. So researchers now are now rewarded more for collaboration and usefulness of their research, and less for novelty or being the first to publish, right? So the future of research will also insist on demonstrable impact to society, on global collaboration, and open access to knowledge. So how is research going to be done in the future? In the near future, the research is also changing. What we are seeing now is revolutionary development in artificial intelligence. Means that hypothesis, right? If you want to form a research, you've got to have a problem statement, and then how's that hypothesis. But all this now can be done via data analytics. So if you have a hypothesis, you can ask that hypothesis to see whether the hypothesis can be answered or not via data analytic, and then the experiment can even be performed via virtual reality. So essentially, you are seeing this change from bench science to where you say you need equipment, you need to take care of the equipment. Now we are changing from bench science to coding using now virtual reality tools. So you can see this lady, she is doing the research, she's doing this, but in actual fact, there is no pipette, no anything else. And whatever that needs to be done is now simulated, and you can see things happening for medical, etc., by using virtual reality. So all this is now changing, and our students also need to now come in this way. So for a laboratory, for a university yang lack laboratory, tak cukup duit nak beli, this is the way forward. So this is where the library now can capture majority of the audience to now come into the library rather than they work in their lab in isolation. So Datuk Daud Bakar says, you know, what is something that you can attract? So this is one way. If you can foresee the future, you can now see that this is one way by having these virtual reality tools that is now needed for the researchers to now move in. So using coding, researchers now can access and work on big data via open access platform that is now interoperable. So like USB lah, semua this, you can have access platform from Royal Society, from other inter-academy sciences, even Malaysia, we have our own Malaysian Open Science platform, mooted by Academy Science and conducted by Academy Science for Malaysia. So basically, librarians now need to be trained for these new skill sets to help now future clients, yeah. So this will be the reality in the future, because we also have now new generation of, remember, you guys are here, there is only so much that you can do, and I'm here, I was dah pension, there's only so much that I do, and there's so much that I can understand. But the future generation, the Z generation, or the Z generation, is now going to be very much more technology and digital savvy, and they will absorb this virtual reality, augmented reality like nobody's business, right? So the digitally savvy researchers now all want to work faster. They can carry out their research, everything on big data, because, you know, after listening to the big data by various scientists around the world, they find that there's a lot of things that is no longer novel. So what we consider as novel is because our database is not complete. That's why when you do the search engine, you rasa macam, this is something new, but sebenarnya nothing is new anymore. There's a lot of things already been done by somebody somewhere sometime. And the bigger the data analytics you have now, the more you find that there's nothing much more new that you can now discover. So the information solution providers and funders will now provide platform for this to happen, and actually create ways in which quality can now be measured, to be monitored, and incentivize the researcher of the future, which is going to be different. And that means that when you start to go to open access, we are also changing the metric of what is considered as a good researcher. You notice that it's no longer about age index, it's no longer about citation. So all this change that we want to see now. So the information that I'm sharing with you today is not, I mean, I myself would not know where to go to start this conversation until my own analysts at Academy Science actually now provided this data when I'm preparing for this talk, all right? And when I basically asked the question, where's the way forward? How are we going to deal with this? And they deep dive into the data and actually now come up with some of the things that I have to read and how am I going to go forward to share with you today. So basically, this is the kind of information that is also needed by university leadership, especially the TNCPNI. All right. If the university continue to do research the way it is, then we are not catching up with what's happening around the world, because postgraduate students of tomorrow are now using virtual reality and using data analytic, and a lot of the private university in Malaysia, Monash dan sebagainya, Sunway, Taylor, they are already using this kind of technology, but I hardly hear very much from IPTA whether our graduate students are moving in this aspect. So these are the type of tools that is needed, the type of information that is needed to be provided to the university management. Tok Bakar mentioned about how to make yourself visible, how to make sure that you are a prominent member of the JKPU or the top management committee, rather than be the last on the agenda for discussion. So this is some of the things to be proactively providing this kind of information to top management, so that now instead of doing things same old, you are now selling them with foresight that you do, things are changing, right? And basically, how is research communicated? Because for you, it's like filing, cataloging all these theses, all this publication, and basically majority of the time you are being asked to show how many Q1, Q2 papers we have, how many of these papers we have for publication. Itu je yang diminta from you. But bottom line sekarang ni, what's going to happen when the publication is no longer the way it is today? Basically, the research article is there, but it is atomized, maknanya made smaller. Orang dah tak minat untuk membaca the technical Q1, Q2. Basically, the popularity now will be for electronic lab notebooks, and I show you on the side here what electronic lab notebook is all about for the future, that facilitate fragmentation of research and publication process, but it is still linked. So this is the notebook style paper, that you see here with the help of artificial intelligence. And basically apa yang nampak dalam sini adalah experimental method, data and observation, and what is the source code, and what are your claims, and what are your insight. Itu je yang diperlukan sekarang ni for the future, in order for the data analyst to now mine the data and see the connectivity of what the things that you do. So and basically in terms of COVID, where people are now sharing data, orang dah tak minat to be, as I said, to be the first to publish, right? So now is the first to share the preprint. Maknanya sebelum peer review being done on the paper, you already want to share the information, because it's very important that you don't know how to develop the diagnostic, or you don't know how to develop the vaccine, but it is important that orang yang tahu know about this information that can facilitate them in making the vaccine faster, etc., as what you see with COVID-19. And as a result, dalam less than 1 year you can get a vaccine out, a DNA vaccine out, or RNA vaccine out. So this is the new thing that you now see, and basically publishing in journals as we do today is diminishing, and this we can see as in the case when COVID-19 data was actually communicated to help people make vaccine and diagnostics sebelum being published anywhere. So there are funder requirements, of course, around engaging with the public, because they want it to be that of impact. So sekarang ni is not longer about the technical Q1, Q2 paper, but now about, did you write about your research that make it easy for the public to understand? Nampak tak? Dah terbalik dah. Sekarang ni kita nak the researcher to be able to engage the public. So they are not writing technical paper, they are writing now papers that is easy to understand. So this now help to increase, hopefully, public trust in science, in technology, and provide the whole society approach. You notice that COVID-19 cannot be solved without whole society approach, because to get more than 90% people being vaccinated, when we first started, there's a lot of anti-vaccine people, so we have to communicate, we have to make it simple, we have to make sure that people understand what this vaccine is about, halal, haramnya, and everything else. So all this needs to be require engagement with the public in order to get whole society approach. So now we know, post-COVID, whatever the government need to do, it has to be whole government approach, bukan dah ministry by ministry, bukan dah university by university, it's now going to be university collaboration, it's now going to be government collaboration, and in collaboration with whole society approach, otherwise nothing can get done. All right, so it is clear, therefore, business as usual will no longer be possible for any of us working in the research ecosystem. So if everything now is on the database, so why do we still need to go to the library when information can be obtained at your fingertips at any time or any place? Okay, terbalik daripada apa Datuk Daud Bakar say today, that you want to go see the Senate and you want to ask the Dean to be able to get people to spend 4 or 5 hours in the library. But what I'm trying to say is that dunia is changing and that you don't have to spend 4 or 5 hours in the library. In fact, what's more important is, did the library provide that resource for me and I can access that anywhere, anytime. So are libraries relevant in the digital era? This now becomes the question. With the digital revolution, you know, it is shaking the long stable world of books and publishing to the very core. Because kita preserve buku dalam library because this buku is out of print, this buku is so mahal, etc. But once we digitize that book, it is now stored in the cloud, and there's no such thing called e-books will never go out of print. So, and it is now going to be immortalized forever if once it is in digital format and you blockchain the book, and that's it. It is not, nobody can change the book anymore. So this is the new kind of technology that is now available, right? So digitization will actually need, or will also buka pintu, will lead to the entry of new players that now take over the traditional role of the library itself. Because now, I mean, why do I have to come to the library? Because I can get Google, I can get Google Scholar, I can get Amazon, I can get Apple to that is already providing and building larger electronic collections than any library in the world. So you put all the library together, you cannot get the one that is there in Google, Amazon, and Apple, right? So basically, they are ensuring, the Google especially is ensuring that it finishes its print scanning project and digitizing all media. And when Google finish this effort, it will be the Earth's largest library, accessible to all, open 24/7, unlike library that has to have closure time. So Google Play now offer more than 4 million books and thousands of movies, songs, and all the apps you can think of, as significantly, ladies and gentlemen, outdistancing any collection of any library in the world. So when you have that kind of possibility, right? So you have to ask, why do I need the library and the librarians, right? So the question is whether some information, of course, is whether this is charged. I mean, basically, you know, Harvard is now having open access, free access. Royal Society dah buat semua dia punya journals semua free access. Indian Society of Sciences also has provided everything access. Malaysian Academy of Sciences also, with the 5 research universities, are also putting a lot of the data accessible in open access. So you have all this. The question therefore is whether you start Google atau Amazon ataupun Apple will now start charging for the use of that minimal fee. You know, like for example, like right now, if you're watching Netflix or you're watching, there's a lot of free TV, iFlix, they're all free, but we have to pay a small fee kalau kita nakkan VIP status, that you don't want to hear a lot of the ads and you want to, dia tak ada preview, dia boleh pergi terus tengok the movie without any sekatan. So that kind of stuff, maybe there's going to be some minimal charges. So we don't know what's going to happen in the future, but whatever it is, Google, Amazon, Apple, they want as many people. Dia terbalik kot, business plan is not longer about exclusivity, but rather now about making it available, because now the money is made dengan cara advertisement, dengan cara something else, not necessarily about the information itself. So the combination now of artificial intelligence, of robotics, and also of hologram, and the library, the computer, basically artificial intelligence backed by hologram, can actually talk to you. You can see in the form of a person and can actually talk to you, can discuss with you, and all information is there in this huge database. And this hologram will actually now connect all this information faster than any librarian can put this thing into effect. So and you know, whatever I'm saying now probably is going to shock some of you and saying, you know, bila lah Datuk ni nak menghargai librarian, unlike Datuk Bakar tadi cakap molek, that they hargai. Basically, as I said, I'm a practical person. I like you to face reality so that now we can work together. Macam mana kita nak face this situation because it's reality. The lot of videos before, bila Netflix minta untuk berkabung, a lot of these videos and whatnot tak mau. So Netflix now put into movies with the disruptive technology, with Netflix, behind the Netflix is artificial intelligence. Of course, now you can see now all these movies, right? The disruptive disruption that you can see for movies, and you can see Spotify sekarang ni, all these record companies yang tak mau bergabung dulu bila Steve Jobs minta untuk bergabung, sekarang ni semua dah mampu kerah. So sekarang ni we now have Spotify that have any song in the world can now be coming in. And all this now backed by artificial intelligence and by algorithm behind this artificial intelligence, that actually now if I were to open my own Spotify, it would tell me, it will say, hey Asma, these are your daily mix, that will tell me what are the songs that is good for me today. And actually they pull based on my like, the artificial intelligence is profiling me, all right, and actually saying, okay, this is the kind of songs that I like, the kind of genre that I like, and they mix it for me, and they allow me to say, okay, this is my remix for the day. So nampak tak how they have personalized the service, and this is done by, and you know how many millions and billions of people are in Netflix and in Spotify, and yet they can profile Asma Ismail and what she does and what she likes and what she doesn't like. So this kind, you can't cope, right? This is the kind of technology that is now happening. And whether you like it or not, it's already happening today. I mean, you're saying, dulu kita tak pernah work from home, and sekarang bang, datang sekali COVID, dalam masa 2 bulan, we are all working from home. And now bila kerajaan kata, let's go back to the office, kita pun fikir, buat apa nak pergi office balik, because dah seronok dah kerja from home, right? So, and you see that there's a lot of things you can get done by working from home. You don't have to move the traffic jam, we're giving the carbon footprint under control, and so on and so forth. And it's not coming to higher education. Of course, it's coming to higher education. We're going to see now edX and Coursera, that now all the resources are now put together. And if now a university dengan sekarang post-COVID tak graduate student from international graduate student dah tak mari, so now what are we now going to reach out to them? Micro-credentials, or basically now we also have to pull the universities punya courses into what we call Netflix mode as well. And actually now people will pay a subscription and they can get access to any of the courses from either USM, UTM, UPM. Doesn't matter now. It's not about the greatness of the university, but whether the universities are now coming in like Alibaba on one platform, like Lazada on one platform. Tapi now different universities put their courses in there, and now the world can now just come in and say, okay, if you want to get a degree from a Malaysian university, then you just go into this Netflix platform, macam Netflix lah, whatever you want to call it, Malaysian MOOCs ka, Malaysian micro-credential ka, Malaysian courses ka. So this is now going to be the future, because once the universities now join to create now what we call jukebox, so now you can get masalah, basically you can get for a degree in X, you can now go to have some of these things being taught by UTM, and then some by USM, then some by UM and whatnot. So at the end of the day, this is the jukebox degree that you're going to have. So that is the future. And Malaysia is the first country in the world, MQA dah meluluskan penggunaan MOOCs to get the degree. So basically you can get edX, Coursera, campur Malaysian university courses and now get a degree. So this is the way forward, and because of that you can get more students than what the university can afford to have. So kalau duduk kat USM ni dapat 30,000 pelajar, because brick and mortar ada limitation. But with the internet, you can go to the sky with the numbers, right? So, and you can't beat free, because right now the best university in the world, Harvard, they're offering professors there with edX. So Harvard punya courses are free, taught by the best professors in the world. Now how are you going to charge a Malaysian professor mengajar versus a Harvard professor mengajar? Why would I want to go for a Malaysian professor when I can get a Harvard? Unless I don't understand English. And this is where the Malaysian professor should be teaching in Bahasa rather than in English, right? So these are the kind of, you have to look at what are the unique things that we can now offer. But whatever it is, ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you about reality, and let's not walk into the future unprepared, right? So the impact now, you will see libraries which have been charged with collecting, preserving, organizing, providing access to books ever since people first thought. So that first thought about putting words on paper. Datuk Daud was talking just now about, oh, healing is, writing book is a process. You know, but right now I'm saying, why do I want to read books when I can go to YouTube and actually listen to the topic on emotional intelligence, or the topic on intellectual intelligence, or any topic, and have somebody tell me in short, precise, to the point, rather than baca 300, 400, and at the end of the day you pun kelabu asap apa benda dia cerita. So all this, the same author who is writing the books yang tebal macam ni can now say what he wants to say in that tebal book in less than 10 minutes or 5 minutes, right? And you can get, because time is now of essence to us. So this is the changing world, ladies and gentlemen. You have to see the Z millennial is not like us anymore. So the Z millennial, if you study them, Nobel laureates have studied them, they browse, they don't read, they browse. So therefore you got to get their attention when they browse. So this is the kind of learning that is now changing the paradigm that we now have to face, because ramai kita bukan daripada Z millennial, so we need to understand this as well. So what will happen then, the question, if when all prints have been digitized and stored in the cloud, so do we still need a big library building for that matter, right? So when everything has been digitized, then you have digital curation, sophisticated catalogs, and sophisticated search engines that will help people find what they are looking for. And if you are the kind that Allah nak kena type, nak kena figure out, and you memang bengang, you don't know how to do this, remember the hologram now, you can talk to this hologram. And basically the hologram is behaving like a librarian who actually will now search faster than lightning and actually answer your question. And you don't even have to type, you don't have to think, you just continue with this conversation with this robot and basically, or hologram, and they will now do the answering. How can you beat that? So this is now going to be some new things that you have to figure out, because they are already coming in less than 10 years, right? So with budget constraint, will the university convert the library building to other needs, like having it to change into a classroom or office or research space or learning space? So right now it's a matter of you, either you turn the library now into something more community, something that is a bit that gather people together, or you're going to lose that space when more and more people access the information of the resources from home and no longer coming to the library. So when that happens, I rasa most library staff also need to find some new position. So then the next question, what will happen to librarians? Tadi I cakap what will happen to the library building. Alright, the library building sekarang ni is on Dyer Street to actually be converted to other things. But what will happen to the librarians themselves? Alright, when the writers, the researchers, the graduate students no longer put words on paper, because right now, why would I want to do that when everything is metadata? So like I said, even the Q1, Q2 pun dah going to be out of sync. So right now, where is ranking in the game? And that's why Times Higher Education dah prepare. Dia tahu dah bila tak ada Q1, Q2 punya perangai semua, dia sekarang dah ready dengan Times Higher Education impact ranking against SDG. So now dia tanya pasal benda lain pula. Sampai dah, because they are business, they already prepared. Right, so kita yang tak prepare, we are the one who are following the game without knowing and understanding that what is, without doing any foresighting about what is going to happen in the future. So therefore sekarang ni, if now graduate students no longer have to do that, no longer need to put like a thesis yang banyak semua kena baca apa benda semua, so and basically all graduate students have to do is key them on electronic screen and then store them in the cloud. Tak payah publish berapa thesis yang nak kena ni, sebab you grade everything from the computer. So and then all this is now no longer stored in the library, you store it in open access. Alangkah pensyarah punya journal pun kita masuk dalam open access, apalah budak punya thesis, might as well masukkan dalam open access as well. But open access pun ada yang mana yang open dan mana yang kat mana yang tak open. So basically ada qualifying statement when we talk about open pun, ya, apa yang boleh baca, apa yang tak boleh baca. So we are already, as you are aware, the 5 research universities are already downloading dia orang punya information on the Malaysian Open Science Platform, mooted by Academy Science and launched by MOSTI, and this is already in existence right for us here in Malaysia. So this is the concept of the hologram yang akan bercakap sekarang ni, and like I said, tomorrow there can even be a robot sitting there answering the question for you. So but ladies and gentlemen, if we now put our minds together, so we cannot easily give up. Walaupun technology is here to stay, there is always some means of how now we say new jobs will, there will be unknown jobs of the future, but new jobs will now open up. So this is what we mean by new jobs, right? So therefore, despite all these disruptive technologies, you must understand this disruptive technology can only happen when there is internet. Alright, so digital library can only happen when there's internet. Kau duduk dekat ceruk Tok Kun mana-mana kah, and there is no internet, what happened to this digital library? Nothing, right? So basically now, you must understand that 50% of the world is still without internet. So basically there is still a necessity for the books and the journals and all this, but this now must be made available to the people who need it most, and made available in the traditional way. So therefore, the aggregation, the curation, and the referencing, the 3 classic library rules are still very much needed, even when we have open access, because the cataloging dalam open access still need the same concept as what the librarian has done. So for those with the internet, even though we are in the cities and whatnot that have internet, people who is your client or your stakeholder must be given a choice, all right, to cater for their preferences. Macam people like Datuk Daud, he says he has to come to the library, he has to have that smell of the books, etc. You know, Asma Ismail doesn't go for the book smell, I go for the internet, you know. So therefore you have different people and the savvy young students of the future will actually probably don't feel the book, you know, mereka baca dengan cara mereka tak baca, mereka browse dengan cara digital, because they have been born like that, and therefore touching a paper, touching books mean nothing to them anymore. So we are seeing phases of change even in society, but whatever it is, we need to give them the choice. So therefore, a hybrid, as I have asked several of the librarians have now stated that most of our library is also going hybrid, yeah. But we do need to take advantage of the tools and the technologies available to us to find better and more effective ways of connecting people with books and information, and to carry the library to the unknown future. We need therefore exemplary leadership among the library leaders who can now see the foresight, who can now bring the library to cover for the future and still make the library relevant. Yeah. So my question is, as Einstein says, you cannot, if you do the same thing over and over again, you don't expect to get different result. So if you continue to buy data from Elsevier, Scopus, Web of Science, why do you continue to do that when I just said to you, Google Play, Google, Amazon, Apple have all these databases that is done? Kenapa kita tak fikir untuk go in that direction? Kenapa kita tak fikir to actually bring Google, Amazon, whatever accessible sekarang ni on the platform of our libraries, and forget about all this Elsevier. Dia orang pun tahu mereka akan mati kalau mereka tak change their business plan. So why are we catering for their needs? And you know how much every year they are charging us like crazy, and if we don't pay, semua the whole thing jadi gelap, you know, and we lose everything overnight by just not paying. I mean, this is a ransom. So basically now Harvard, there are so many databases that is now open access and made available to all, from Harvard, from Royal Society. Kenapa tak bring all those information in? This is what I'm trying to say sekarang ni, to be savvy and to be relevant. Okay, let's talk about leadership, right? Because what is going to make things happen for library of the future is who's the leader, and what kind of leader is the one that is going to be the chief of the librarians that is now in the digital era. So okay, if we talk about leadership, dia ada beberapa perkara kita yang discuss here. Being a leader has a gender attached to that. A leader can be male or female. But if you talk about leadership, leadership is genderless, all right? So maknanya we want to talk about leadership, all right? So and basically, if you type in that question today, and you find that there are about 2.560 million results. If you type the word leadership, Google will tell you there are 2.5 million results with 2.2 million on the definition of leadership alone. Can you imagine that? Maknanya none of us really know what leadership is all about. So our understanding of leadership, despite decades of research, is still not yet complete. So let me bring to the concept that of leadership. Dalam bahasa Malaysia kita ada dua perkataan. Satu is called ketua and satu is called pemimpin. Kalau kata ketua, then there will be one person in front and then there will be followers behind. Itu ketua dengan cara ada satu di depan. Tetapi in the current concept of leader is to nurture more leaders, bukan to nurture more followers. That is the difference now. And the concept of bahasa Malaysia pemimpin is probably more apt now because it's like working together, holding hands and moving together in unison. This is the concept of leadership that we want now. Bukan seorang ke depan, the rest are all followers, all right? So leadership now is not just about the leader, but it is about the growth and positive change that a leader brings while working with the others, right? And the job of the leader, as I said, is to nurture more leaders, bukan to nurture more followers. Ini konsep yang sekarang ni kita kena tukar. And therefore, if we now want to nurture more leaders, we actually need to engage with our staff. We need to engage with our stakeholder beyond the staff of the library, right? So in Islam, it says that everyone is a leader or khalifah with the responsibility to lead humankind or organization to the right path. So leadership is the ability to lead, to motivate, to inspire people to produce results, right? And the ability, and this is another thing, a leader, if possible, must have the ability to articulate well and clear about where, and of course, it will be helpful kalau personality they are charismatic, so that people can understand where you want to bring people to the next, where you're going to lead them to, right? And so that they can share your vision. Ini kalau nak express pun tak erti and you cannot put into words properly, so people don't understand where you're now bringing them, right? So this is very important that articulation is very important. Speak clearly with purpose, with meaning. So even though all of us are individual leaders in our own microenvironment, dalam keluarga, dalam cluster, dalam kalangan kawan-kawan, all right, but you also know that among the leader, they are the leaders of the leader. Among the professor, there are professors. They are professor among the professors. So these individuals, when you see that kind of gem, these individuals that need to be nurtured to become a team leader and eventually to become an organizational leader or even a university leader. So the question is like, how do I start to become a leader? Is that to be a leader, you must have courage and commitment. And this comes with skills and experience to change yourself to become better. And the change must begin with you, all right? And of course, leadership can be learned. Okay, you can ask the question, dalam leadership, there are the traits which is inherited and there are skills that can be learned. Traits, basically, we say that not more than 30% of your genetic makeup have, you know, some people keep on saying, you are born, some of us are born leaders and some of us are not. And so you can, actually, that's not true. Born leader to 30%, yeah, genetic trait there. But actually the skill of leadership is what you can learn. So only then can you speak with wisdom. When you have this skill, can you speak with wisdom and be the voice of reason, be the positive influencer dan sebagainya, right? So, I mean, to me, how do you now learn to become a leader? Is to start taking on all the worst assignments at work. That means the more you take, the more you handle, the more you dapat experience, the more experiential learning you get. And usually we say find a big problem and volunteer to solve it. And I see from the questions, some of the librarians are already complacent, some of them refuse to work any harder than what they need be. But bottom line is that if you want to be a leader, these are the kind of things that you need to see. What Daud Bakar call test assignment, whether you find or not people who volunteer to want to do big problems, because the mistakes from the mistake that they made, this is the learning point that they will get, right? So you can also learn by observation, by reading, by listening to lectures and seminar like what I'm doing now. But that's not good enough, right? Because whatever I discuss with you today, there are still words that you're gonna hear. Yeah, you can take into account some of the words that I'm saying, but at the end of the day, it's all about, well, or not dengar good information or what needs to be done, but you need to put it into practice. Right? So leaders actually learn by doing, through experience and not through mere words. By listening to words, by listening to puji-pujian, is not going to help. You need to go through the mill, right? So continuous professional development in terms of nurturing of the leader, in terms of mentorship, and especially in terms of experiential learning are all very important in developing leadership skills. And then when you undergo all this, more learning point is when you reflect on your experience, all right? And then reflect on your mistake and what you say now, I'll never repeat that same mistake. And then adapt accordingly to what is the right path that needs to be there. So to me, what makes a good leader is experiential learning, because I believe that leadership cannot be taught, it can only be learned. Okay, you can listen to all the Steve Jobs and all the videos etc. about leadership, about motivational talk, but that's it lah. At the end of the day, it's still bahu yang memikul tu yang kena tahu how to go forward, right? So then, if you now want to go forward, let me discuss what do other librarians expect of their library leaders, all right? First one is, of course, being visionary, innovative, bold, and an initiator, right? Because, you know, leadership is very important. If you want the library to go forward, you expect that the leader will fight for the library lah. If the leader tak maulah, kita dah cakap dah dekat BC, tapi tak jadi apa juga. So if that kind of attitude is there, leader, mampu kerahlah the rest of the people behind you, right? There's not much that can be done, and they just say forget about it. So basically, please understand one thing. You cannot compete nor stop advances in technology, because the advance is going to change every day, right? And they're going to be better and better every day. So how do you now strategize that you remain relevant despite all these challenges of the unknown provided by the disruptive technology? So as I said tadi, not all places have access to the internet, and not all humans who even have access to the internet prefer to read ebooks or Kindles. Some of us still prefer the smell, the touch of the paper, you know, and to be on the plane when there's no internet to actually read books that you have in your hand. So somewhere along the line, you need to create a hybrid environment. And the other thing is that not just a hybrid for those who come to the library, but to create a knowledge environment that is accessible to the poor who does not have internet, because as we say, the library is for all. And you know, during COVID, you have a lot of students who are from IUM, but they are in Kota Baru. So the student asked me, can I come to USM punya library to study, because you know I'm just staying at home and I can't go to Kuantan because they're from the medical campus in Kuantan. And this is what I mean by collaboration, by working in a consortium. Apa salahnya untuk sekarang ni? Because when we are thinking that we are there to cater for the student of our university, orang lain kita tak mau cater. So bila jadi macam tu, then the knowledge which is supposed to be free, I mean Amazon, Google, Apple, all this knowledge is free, yang you duk simpan dalam poket tu buat apa? So this is the new concept of thinking. So if that is the case, masa work from home, kenapa and the students cannot come to the university, kenapa dia tak boleh from other universities also come to a library closest to them, from a university closest to them, and actually have access to all this information so that the budak can study. All right, so this kind of thinking, I think, needs to be addressed, because academic library leaders' role in this age of transition from brick and mortar to actually now go through digitization age is actually providing satisfactory library services. So, in order to be relevant, it's not about competing dengan technology, but it's about providing alternate, unique services, customized services that you can now make yourself very much relevant and needed. So services is the way forward. But you also need to upgrade your skills, especially in data analytics and to analyze the big data. So skillful and competent leadership is required in this time of complexity and transformation. And this is probably the time where your skills in aggregating, in curating, in referencing now comes in handy in order to make librarians relevant and needed. Betul, ni kan memang kita ada search engine, but not everybody know how to do data analytic. So even now you bagi search engine hebat macam mana pun to download, there's only a certain way. Like for me, if I was working to prepare for this talk, without the help of my data analyst from academy, I can only search with certain words and keywords, and I will get the things to come. But my data analyst can get really fantastic things. So these are the things that I didn't learn before because I only know so much that I can do, right? So, but with the skill that you have, the first, you can always say, okay, siapa nak buat search engine buat, tapi at the end of the day, you got a problem, come to me. And this is where you now offer the second layer advanced service that people would now say, I need to come to you. Companies will say, I need to come to you. Big research clusters will say, I need to come to you. So many, as I said, do not have the time to actually sit down and figure out all the various keywords and attack from different angles to the solution that they are providing. Remember what I said, tomorrow is no longer about bench science, more it's about coding and to write the code, etc., to bring down the information from the metadata. So not everybody is trained in that, all right? Not every postgraduate is trained in that. So basically, but you can help, and this is where you come in big time, and you have been trained basically to handle any given topic. So this is where I say library services is the way forward in order to make sure that you remain relevant and needed. And this is where you can offer unique and customized service basically to the clients. Like I said, this new thing that you need to train the people, including data stewardship, data curating, data analytic, all these things now, we have very low numbers. Academic science, especially with MySejahtera, okay, how to make yourself visible. Academic science is just a statutory body. We are think tank for the country. But bottom line, how do we make ourselves visible? So we say we need drive-through vaccine centers, So people are saying, no, kita buat center, we need drive-through, and we tell you why we need drive-through. So as a result, even though we are the think tank, we make ourselves visible by telling the government that there is a need for drive-through because it's more convenient. You don't have to get exposed, you don't have to line up, you just in the car, the family is there, you jab, that's it, you go. And after we design the drive-through so the drive-through that you experience actually is the idea from Academy Science Malaysia, and we chair for all drive-thrus that happens in the country. We bring in people, we collaborate, we bring in the private sector, and as you see, plus also involve Sunway Pyramid involved in creating this name. And you have MySejahtera. That MySejahtera is a very big data. Everybody goes everywhere, check in, and then you scan. And so what happened to that data? The data goes to a receptacle, and then what happened? How do you mine this data, right? So all this information, so we say, KKM, can KKM handle? So cannot handle. So we have with us data scientists. Nasib baiklah, we have young scientist network who have come back with data science as their need. So our fellows who are experts in the field ask the question, and our data analysts get some information and then analyze it, and that's how we can predict sekarang ni how many vaccine needs to go. So I guess you understand the information that KKM is now sprouting is actually coming from the backup of academic science data analysts that says, okay, how many vaccine do we need in kawasan Rembau, for example, how many adults, how many, so how many do we need, when do we need, when are we going to get? So we use also predictability, when are we going to get, and you see also the effectiveness of the vaccine. Labuan in Sarawak, do you see now a decrease in number in the ICU beds? Padahal the number of COVID cases memang ada pun, but to check for effectiveness of the vaccine, do you see a downward turn in the occupation of the ICU beds? So this kind of information actually is provided by ASM data analysts to KKM, and this is how, walaupun kita statutory body think tank saja, we're not supposed to do, but because the government needs a lot of our ability to be able to help and analyze, so we offer the service. So basically we make ourselves available, accessible and affordable to the government. Tak cah apa pun, semua free ya. So this is the kind of work that we do in times of crisis. So there's a lot of things that the library can also do, which I will share after this, right? And the library leader also ensure relevancy of the library to the users with time. So through promoting a customer focused, creative and collaborative culture in the library. So instead of just library being library, why not you turn it into a community center like Alexandria. Alexandria Library in itself is a big community center where people come and library too is library, tapi they encourage people to come in to discuss, to actually sit there, have coffee or whatever, and actually now, oh, they want further clarification, the library is there with the resources to back them up. So you see, it is a conversation piece, a conversation center. It brings people together. So this is what I see that Datuk Daud Bakar is saying, that why certain librarians turn down the offer and donation of books, but essentially all those books, etc., can be made available in all of the university cafes and whatnot. I mean, you go to Dome and you go to Dome and you find that sebelah you magazine lah, buku lah, lama-lama fashion buku, lama-lama that is all there, and that while you're waiting for the food you actually need. So it's just a matter of thinking. Doesn't have to be that all the books donated must be located in the library, but you can now see what are the things that can be done with knowledge, right? So then my next question is, why can't you now be, as called for, where is university heading in the future by for SDG, we find that the university should somewhere along the line be the learning hub that provide internet to the rural areas. So this is something that I see this as an idea that I want to put forward to the librarians who are listening, especially majority of you are chiefs here and Timbalan chief. So you can now see, why can't we provide frugal internet service at the same time fulfill the needs of the SDG? You know, I'm sedih dengar budak-budak di Sabah have to climb trees in order to get internet. So when I was as chair of academy, we confer the top research scientist recognition kepada ni. And so last year, Associate Professor Muhammad Ramli Kamaruddin, penerima top research scientist Malaysia daripada UTHM. So I asked him to give a profile about himself. So he was telling all of us what he can do, and then he says, among other things, that he can actually provide internet service to the people of the poor area yang tak ada internet. So I was saying, I said, okay, I challenge you now, tell me how you can do this. So he was telling lah, and at the end of the day, I said to my CEO, and he said, okay, why can't then sekarang ni academy go and find what is it? bagi this AP Muhammad Ramli to now work on this what we call frugal internet service. Okay, explain how this is done. Benda tu senang je. You know, you are a library. Basically, as a library, you dapat internet, right? So if you now use the signal, he actually traps the signal by the contraption that he has made, and then this signal can now provide 20 to 30 houses with internet for free, because the internet ditarik daripada library, and library katalah USM dah memang bayar pun the internet for the year. Any university pun dia punya internet service memang university dah bayar, and that's it. So his frugal thingy is that he can now pull the internet from any free government sector yang ni, and actually now provide 20 to 30 homes with internet, same power as that in the library, and basically sekarang ni people don't have to pay for it. Nampak? So basically sekarang ni so I say okay, macam mana kita nak buat di kawasan-kawasan pedalaman? Kan kita dah ada desa IT or something like that the government has built untuk bawa mereka datang kepada this desa in order to get internet. Tetapi with his frugal internet service now, he can now tarik from that and actually provide 20 to 30 homes around the area so that they don't have to come to that center. So this can go on and on and on. So basically, if now you are doing this, so you see kalau sekarang ni you kata okay, macam mana nak provide for orang rural area, you come up with this mobile library lah apakah bendanya, but you have to bawa the resources yang ada dalam library dalam this mobile, which is not going to contain everything, and at the end of the day a lot of people who actually need this cannot use. Macam budak-budak sekolah tak apalah, tapi kalau macam budak-budak university, macam mana they need more power, right, in terms of doing this. So how do you now bring your library accessible to the community of the poor yang tak ada internet, okay, tanpa having to move the library? So this frugal internet service can now provide. And I sekarang ni kata kenapa so we brought this to the ministers of MOSTI and minister of kawasan perumahan and kawasan rural area ni, and they're all intrigued by that. So this on Monday I'm going to have this discussion with Professor Wahid, Datuk Wahid, the VC of UTHM. So basically this is an ASM UTHM collaborative effort. And I say kenapa sekarang ni the Council of Library ke tak join together with this AP Associate Professor Muhammad Ramli ni, go and discuss. I mean, especially the librarian from UTHM, do this as a amal jariah that you can now provide. Bukan gaduh apa pun, because that means now you are making. So now kalau you tak maulah budak daripada IIUM yang duduk dekat kawasan Johor to go to UTHM, no problem, you provide that service so that dia boleh access sekarang ni daripada rumah dia. So this is now the new concept of frugal internet that can now be done. And sekarang ni dia dah merebak, kita dah dapatkan Sabah, Sarawak and all this now to come. So all this from my challenge to Dr. Muhammad Ramli, basically when he was awarded the top research scientist. And this is what it's all about, to see the idea and then I jump on it and get all the ministries to now come in. Because kalau left ke UTHM, dia pun tak tahu mana satu nak pergi cari minister, mana boleh dapat minister punya time. So with ASM we can do that. So that is how now we, walaupun think tank, we are now becoming a little bit of a doer to make sure now our top research scientists dapat membawa impact kepada masyarakat. So and I hope that the library can also come in to join, because I said the universities can come in, because all minta maaf, mana dia UITM 34 campuses ada around Malaysia. Kenapa UITM tak menggunakan ini and create now internet for all others around the 34 campuses dalam kawasan-kawasan pedalaman, UNIMAS, UPSI and all that. So they all 20 of you are here. And then I tak cakap lagi dengan IPTS. Kalau I cakap dengan IPTS, this will be a CSR that they can also do. So you see or not, there's so much that we can do to help masyarakat if only we know how to use the technology and make ourselves relevant. So you need to now develop modern library leaders that think about foresighting, that think about using technology for the future, and then how now do you make your professional identity visible and prominent. So this is one way that can be done. So basically, in short, ladies and gentlemen, you need a transformative mindset, not about how things were done dulu masa aku ni, I have to go through that, or hello, that's 20 or 30 years ago, habis cerita. But now we need to now have a mindset that is about what should and what would be the future post-COVID, where digital era will be disruptive. And of course, another expectation is that you need to be a knowledge worker. Knowledge worker ni bukan pasal knowledge saja. A knowledge worker is also about the leader that understand the culture of the organization, the objective of the organization, and the objective of the library. And of course, someone who is very familiar with staff strength, with challenges, the capability of the staff. Dia tak kenal your staff, macam mana you nak tahu apa improvement yang that staff needs to do. So, and therefore it's very important to have good soft skills, ability to articulate and clear vision and understand staff issues and how they feel, and also able to know and recognize the staff capabilities and expertise with reference to tasks and areas needed for improvement. And you know, you need emotional intelligence for this to happen, because librarians are knowledgeable social workers. I call you social workers because you are the front line. You are social workers, you are communicators with intellectual intelligence, all right? Because for any of you to be the librarian that you are today, with the degrees that you have, with the masters and the PhD that you have in information science, you are already an intellectual, having intellectual intelligence to be able to now mine the data and all that. But what is needed more, because you are in the front line and because you are the one, your stakeholder is the client, right? And the client is going to be people with different languages, with attitudes, different ethnic and with different culture background. You're going to be facing them all. So you need to keep cool. And to do that, you need emotional intelligence to actually cope, because emotional intelligence is a way of recognizing, understanding, and choosing how we think, how we feel, and how we act. And we can do this, it will shape how we interact with others, and our understanding of ourselves. So it will define how and what we learn. It allows us to set priorities and actually determine the majority of our daily action. So there is now going to be, and studies have shown that if you now have emotional intelligence, this is a positive correlation between emotional intelligence, effective library management, and high performance, regardless of the gender. When we talk about emotional intelligence, right, it's very important that you see. If I show you two MIT graduates, right, who goes now to get a job, one graduate sits in the room because dia graduate from MIT, dia memang hebat dan dia juga pandai. So they sit in the room and write codes every day, you know, to be able to move the company. And you have another MIT graduate who goes around and talk to all the various workers and say, hello, I'm so and so, what can I do to help you? If you need any help, come to me. You know, I'm a programmer, I can write codes, but I can do a lot more other things to help you if you need help. So at the end of the day, you will be hired based on your intellectual intelligence, but you can also be fired because you lack emotional intelligence. You faham tak? So, but kalau nak bagi promotion, is it to the one who stays in the room and never interact with others, or is it going to be the one who interact with others and still have the intelligence to be able to now move the library, for example? So, maknanya bosses of the future need emotional intelligence to be able now to interact and actually create high performance, and not just looking at performance. You know, you inspire that high performance to happen. Okay, so basically there must be sensitive sikit, tapi data has shown that there must be a clear line to separate being a library manager and a library leader. Okay, a library leader will foresee the future and set forth a vision and promote a shared culture. That's why I bother to cerita kat you what is going to happen with research, with technology, with the impact of disruptive technology. I need to tell you this because this is what is required from a leader to now foresee what is going to happen. But library management is about how things we do, the planning, the budgeting, the organizing, the problem solving, all being in control, maintaining order, developing strategies, etc. for the library. But just knowing how to do the job well, because I say if you do emotional intelligence, you can get high performance, effective management, bagus lah. Tapi doing the job well does not mean that you possess the skill needed to actually inspire people, right? That is the leadership quality that we need to have. So leadership means you can influence people to contribute their hearts, their minds, their spirit, their creativity, their excellence, and to give their all for the team and commit to the mission of the library. So it is leadership that actually transforms the potential of employees into reality. So there's a lot of people who probably are deputies now wondering, why am I not chief yet? Because sometimes during the interview, you don't have what it takes. You are very good, effective manager, but you are not a very good, going to be a good leader. So this is something that needs to be seen. So you need to be professional. You also need, among other things, to be professional and should have humanistic and charismatic personality, team player possible, and having building relationship skill or social outreach. But what is reality? Reality, unfortunately, studies have shown that leadership in libraries is still very much dominated by the traditional headship approach. Studies have shown that by examining library dean or director's job or pengarah or chief pustakawan, whatever, that they have analyzed from 2011 to 2015, showed that there's still a focus on the traditional library skills and transactional management. And at the end of the day, when the chief is working the same as the library manager, there were going to be micromanagement, but people were expecting something else from you. So that's why I want to share with you what are the expectations of a library leader, and to have a clear line to separate a library manager from a library leader, because leaders lead people and managers just manage people and just get the things done. So basically, there is a need, if you now want to bring the library to the next level, and you cannot afford the time because disruptive technology don't wait for you, you need to create an agile response among the library leaders in order for you to be resilient, in order for the library to be resilient and sustainable in the future. So this is where we need to go for values-based leadership for the future. What we mean by that? Because, you know, the future talent, if you see, is about preparing students for jobs that don't yet exist, using technologies not yet invented to solve problems not yet identified. And today is the era of convergence, the merger between information technology and biotech that's creating a tsunami effect. And the future is about VUCA, volatility, uncertainty, complexity, ambiguity. And therefore, we need to prepare individuals with strong values. And Clark Shorman has said, despite the disruptive technology, it is not the 4IR that is killing people, but it's actually the lack of trust that is what we need to worry about. Industry 4.0 is not about technology, it's about people and values, and that's why we should inculcate values. And in values-based leadership, you're going to be faced with many unknowns due to Industry 4.0 and the pandemic, and it's therefore critical to provide values-based leadership to the organization and to the community. And this is built on the foundation of moral principles and values like integrity, empowerment, and social responsibility. So it is a leadership style that will build itself on shared values of both the leader and the team. So values-based leader lead by example, right? So they will demonstrate this ethical behavior in leadership while striving for a balance between doing what is ethically right and what is fair. So justice. So it's important that the leader understand the agreed values well, because as a leader, you have to live with it and be accountable to it. You don't, as a leader, say, okay, kita tak cukup budget and therefore sekarang ni let's all travel economy in order to save money. Tapi bila orang naik kapal terbang, orang tengok you kat business class. Tapi orang lain semua, yang bawah you semua ada dekat economy. So when I was VCA, biasanya I tak keluar this rule because I know I also need to travel business class at times. But if I was smart, I now travel Firefly. It's classless. So ikutlah pergi mana-mana janji Firefly boleh pergi, everybody is the same. So you can do this by example without having to keluar wahyu. From now on semua orang travel economy, tapi you sendiri travel by business class. So if you can't be the role model, then don't keluar wahyu-wahyu like that. Yeah. So values based also believe in empowerment, because you know it empowers people to make decision making throughout the organization. And this is very much in contrast to transactional leadership that practice where power is often only at the top, very VC centric, and very few individuals, maybe a small number of JKPU. Even dalam JKPU pun mungkin tak semua orang yang make the decision, and the rest don't even know what's going on. So it's important that we differentiate between, like I said, management and leadership. Management is about getting the job done, all right, and sometimes when you do that, you even micromanage things, right? But if you are a leader, you inspire, and that's why empowerment becomes very important. I will explain this. So in values-based, you focus on making ethical decision, maintaining a moral compass, and personal responsibility. You have to be honest, you have to be fair, you meet the obligation, both internal, external. And you know, when you have values-based, it will always guide you to do the right thing when you are faced with a situation including unknown challenges, especially now when you are in COVID situation. So making decision based on value is very much different from making decision based on belief. So belief are accumulated by experience. So I believe pada hemah saya, that kind of stuff will come out lah. But when you face with COVID, that is a totally unknown, belief cannot guide you anymore. So it is actually the moral compass of your values, of your ethics, that is going to guide you to do the right things right when faced with unknown. All right. So philosophy of values-based is that people are mostly motivated by values, and shared responsibility is a value that we have for societal approach, and people live according to the accepted value. So that is trust. This is a critical element in a values-based organization if you want to maintain the team's commitment to both the leader and the organization. So once the trust is lost, like I said, you kata ke orang naik economy from now on, you sendiri naik business class. So basically, this trust is gone. And once the trust is gone, the organization's values, the person will also lose their punya authenticity, and subsequently the organization's stated values will also lose the legitimacy. Orang kata cakap tak serupa bikin, alright? And therefore, you will now lack credibility, because when people trust you to lead the shared values that should be part of your vision, and people are watching you and will believe what you do rather than what you say. So therefore, it's very important that you need to earn your credibility, and you have to lead by example. And this, I think Datuk Daud Bakar also said the same thing, lead by example. And like for example, I show you about values that when I was at USIM, I visited the University of Gontor, and the values of the Islamic University of Gontor, hidup itu hanya sekali, biarlah ia bererti. So you only live once, let it be a meaningful one. And how they do it with the shared values of wakaf, time and knowledge. And the question is, mewakafkan ilmu dan masa. Basically, they volunteer everything. They don't get paid. There is no salary. The question then is that, you know, we go to Gontor, is a living community of values in Gontor. But you come back to Malaysia, I ask the question, even at USIM, Islamic University, tak Islamic University pun, can we actually do it? You know, as long as if we say, can you do something like this? And you ask me again, what's in it for me? Selagi you tanya, what's in it for me? You can forget about mewakafkan masa dan juga ilmu, because everything to you means with tit for tat, right? So change therefore is inevitable when faced with unknown challenges. And therefore, to be the agent of change, we need effective values-based leaders who are ready to make purposeful changes with meaning. And if you want to do that, all right, you need to, this is a position of leadership that especially nak bawa library to the next level in facing the digital challenges. All right, you have to have wisdom, you have to have knowledge, And this position is loaded actually with courage, with responsibility, with accountability, and you gotta be a positive influencer or more, right? So that is another big thing on your shoulder. So to be a library leader, you need to ask if you have what it takes to be one. So if you cannot lead by example, then don't lead at all. This ayat I have to say. So because to have what it takes, you have to go through the step-by-step leadership training or competency framework. There's actually no shortcuts. You have to climb the ladder step by step. And if you can make a shortcut, you can berasa that you nak jadi chief overnight, but you can, but you don't have enough of the wisdom, you don't have enough of experiential learning to create that wisdom, and you will falter if wisdom and competency to lead is not there. And you have to remember, people, when you are the leader, you can ask people to obey you, but people will not respect you. So this is very important that you now operationalize what you consider as shared values, all right? You kata ke orang, benda value macam ni, you kena follow through with that values, and people will see what that value is all about, whether you are able to uphold it. And you have to do now, when you want to lead the organization, you have to provide purpose with meaning, because only then will allow people to get up in the morning and say, yeah, this is the vision that I want to go. In order to do purpose with meaning, you have to have empowerment so that people feel that they belong to the organization. And of course, when you are the leader, please put personal priority under others. That's why saya kata nak jadi leader, jadi dekan, jadi ketua jabatan, jadi chief library, please make sure that you are not still quote unquote hungry, right? You sendiri nak certain thing, you sendiri nak pergi ke conference, you sendiri nak this, because you cannot improve others when you are still hungry, because you are the one that's going to get this information, whether this kursus is available, etc., and besar kemungkinan you will take it to yourself first, and rather than give it to the staff. So this is why I said that a leader should not be hungry. This is the time of sacrifice. So when you are the leader, give the opportunity to others first. And of course, the concept of teamwork, that goes without saying. And with teamwork, you also need participatory leadership. And this is why seorang wanita, because most of the statistics in the world, most librarians or chief librarians are women. And basically, this is the one that God has given to women, the ability of participatory leadership, which is the kind of leadership that is going to move any organization to high performance, whether you believe it or not. This is the leadership post-COVID. You want people to come together, you want consensus decision, you want to give empowerment, not to divide and rule. So therefore, change is inevitable. This is the leadership that needs to listen to people before you make decisions for change, and you have to stand by the shared values. When you have people agree to agree, you don't have a discussion and then you say kita semua consensus, kita agree, but at the end of the day you make a decision, you buat ikut suka you. So again, when that happens, there's a lack of trust, and then the legitimacy of all these shared values is gone. So like I said, empowerment is a very important one to have, and this will make people feel they belong to the organization, they share the same values. And this is also, when you empower, this is also how you find potential leaders as succession leaders to you, right? So another thing, when you are in the leadership position, please understand that leadership is very fluid. You can switch leadership style depending on the situation. In times of emergency or adversity, you can consult others, but you need to make the call. You need to have the courage to do that. And with empowerment, it's about influencing people by providing purpose, direction, and motivation, because when you give empowerment to your staff, it actually builds confidence in people to innovate, because they tahu kalau dia cerita kat you takkan marah, you akan dengar what is it that they want to do, and this create trust in the organization, and along the way will create the new layers of future leaders that you want to see. So as much as a good leader must be a communicator, you must also be a good listener. Setengah tu leader dia bercakap saja, sampai orang nak cakap pun tak boleh. So you have to, when you now communicate, when you have a discussion, you need to come to agree on making decision. And once you agree, you have to follow. You agree ke, you tak agree ke, but when you come to a consensus decision, you have to follow that decision. And you must make sure that all advocacy or policy will go and abide by that decision that you have made. And very important, when you are leading the organization, be open and be caring. And to me, I said many times, administer not with your head, but administer with your heart. And be there with your team. This turun padang concept is very important. You bukan delegate, you actually are there with the team to, like I said, pemimpin, ya, sama-sama join hands to feel the pain or to feel the pleasure. So, and when when the staff did something fantastic, issue letters of appreciation. Not very many have that. You know, at USM, I sengaja keluar WhatsApp of congratulations, tak kira lah staff ke, student ke, apa ke, and follow through by a letter that or a card that will come from me. You know, sometimes you have a bad day, and just that letter of recognition, appreciation, can actually go a long way, and it makes make the day for the person. Because to me, every person deserves a pat on the back, no matter how high you are. So what are the issues and challenges of library leadership? Chief librarian, satu can be not part of the academic management team, or is part but not consulted often enough for leadership strategic decision, because dia pun tak menyuarakan apakah perkara-perkara yang the leadership should take note of. That's why I say you got to play a more prominent role in this. And sometimes university sekarang ni dengan kegairahan nak into ranking, have created what we call university strategic units or centers, and this is where I think sometimes the library is not involved, or involved hanya setakat providing the usual data but not the foresighting or something more interesting that needs to be there. So in times of uncertainties, foresight becomes a very important thing that's needed in order to move forward. And library leaders, as I said, also need to retool and inculcate new skills to go for the new era. So it's important that library continue to be relevant in the digital era, especially with the competition due to globalization. And the main problem is that you want to be able to do this, you got to get information, but you're not provided with constant support and opportunity from the top management. So sometimes itulah menjadi lumrah dan problem when top management tidak nampak the impact of having the library, and yet you're supposed to be the heart of the university. So another problem will occur if the professional library association also do not play their role to improve the library leadership punya career development. And the other thing is that you are getting librarians of the future with trained under outdated curriculum, and therefore you need to nurture for future librarians that have relevant skills to face the 21st century challenges. So I have to say that you cannot succeed without sacrifice. This is another Gontor value thing. Kejayaan tidak boleh dicapai tanpa pengorbanan. And the way forward, therefore, is that a successful leader in the 21st century is the one who shares the power, builds strong relationship, involve staff in decision-making process, and stay focused on the goals and objectives of the organization. And the 5 most important leadership attributes are collaboration, teamwork, innovation, creativity, communication, growth mindset and judgment, and core competency, communication skill, vision, innovation, advocacy, social interaction, good positive influence, team building, organizational understanding, all the things that can be said, but at the end of the day, if you don't do it, you don't practice it, that is not going to happen. So you now know the expectation and what it takes to be a values-based leadership, but it's also high time that we recognize that leadership is a journey towards self-actualization, and that if we achieve that, you need to find ways to contribute back to society. So as we say again, you only live once, so therefore make it a meaningful one, and that success is not counted by how high you have climbed, but how many people you brought with you. So exemplary leaders, as I say, nurture more leaders and not followers. With that, I thank you, and it's been more than 1 hour. So maaf about that. I open now to question. Thank you very much. Back to you, Puan Nur Razia. You are muted. Puan Nur Raziah, you are muted.
Itulah dia. Itulah dua balik dia dengar tadi. Okey, saya mengucapkan terima kasih kepada Datuk atas perkongsian yang saya rasakan sangat padat, sangat menarik ya. Dan saya merasakan bahawa I wish I could learn all these things while I was in service. I'm no longer in service. I'm so eager to do all the things you told in the dalam talk tadi ya. Jadi saya percaya ramai di sini KP-KP yang muda ya mendapat manfaat daripada apa yang Datuk kupas tadi ya. Jadi saya rasa ada juga ya peserta kita yang nak bertanya soalan. Saya hanya boleh berikan satu atau dua soalan saja daripada peserta pas kita running out time ya. Jadi saya bukalah kepada KP-KP yang muda semua ni untuk bertanyakan soalan. Inilah peluangnya ya untuk bertanya dengan Datuk, dan saya buka soalan kepada siapa-siapa yang ingin bertanya boleh terus berinteraksi dan atau juga boleh juga chat.
Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam. Haji Valentino ya.
Ya, lama tak jumpa Datuk. Ni saya selalu ingat pesan Datuk masa setahun bekerja bawah Datuk. Ya, Valentino, you kena riak dalam bekerja. You tak boleh dalam ibadah memang you tak boleh riak, tapi dalam bekerja you kena riak. Jadi you kena tunjuk kepada semua apa yang kerja yang you dah buat, apa yang you dah boleh sumbangkan kepada institusi dan sebagainya. Jadi Datuk mungkin boleh ada idea untuk kongsi bersama dengan kami semua pada petang ini bagaimana nak jadi leader yang stick pada dia punya keputusan yang dibuat dalam organisasi. Silakan Datuk.
Disiplin.
Ya.
Disiplin Valentino. You like what I said, kita dapat shared values. Like I said lah, kalau kita datang kepada to run a university or to run an organisation, kita datang dari luar, you got to learn to love that organisation first. You must learn to love that organisation first. Otherwise, you cannot make the changes and you cannot simply come in with new ideas and whatnot and then make the change. Padahal benda tu akan contrast dengan the tradition of that place. So once you have that, you need to now get the shared value. Sebab shared value ni dia berlain from organisation to organisation, betul tak? So therefore, when you get a consensus shared values, agree to agree, then you must abide. And you must make sure that all policies dalam organisation akan bawa kepada the same shared values. And itu saya rasa is the first thing that needs to be there. Kalau tak ada shared values memang caca marba lah Valentino. So you know masing-masing buat sendiri-sendiri ikut suka how you want to run, and then the chief also kata dia tengok performance, dia tak tengok how you doing to get that performance. Dia tak bother to train, dia just nak tengok result saja. So itu pun menjadi masalah because when there's no training, there's no appreciation of what the staff is doing in the process. Itu pun menjadi masalah for leadership. So that's why saya kata if anything I like to go home late, bukan go home early, because when you go home early you tak tahu what are the real staff who's actually performing atau staff yang suka nak perform bila boss ada aja. You know, and you don't really see who actually nak contribute to the organisation. So to me it's very important leaders can see beyond orang yang you know tripod all the time and actually see who are the mereka yang work dengan sincere for the organisation, and these are the people you should reward to be fair because they are the one that makes the organisation fly.
Terima kasih Datuk.
Okay, ada soalan daripada KP atau TKP yang lain?
Assalamualaikum Datuk.
Salam.
Saya Arina dari USM Datuk. Nama kumpul Datuk. Semua nak tanya sikit pasal yang sekarang ni. Banyak Datuk dah share tadi. Thank you very much lah. Some is something yang most of it are challenges lah. Banyak yang kita perlu challenge ourselves to nak tackle ataupun cater for future punya generation. For example macam itulah kan. Cuma sekarang ni kita macam most of the time kita punya with the technology sekarang dengan cara pembelajaran yang berbeza kan. Teknologi tu menyebabkan people sekarang ni semua nak cepat. Right, then how to nurture, because nurture is something which we have to do it macam slowly, and then macam kalau kita nak hasilkan contohnya kalau kata proses penghabluran pun dia perlu memerlukan masa yang lama untuk dijadikan kristal yang cantik, contohnya macam tu lah yang saya rujuk. Cuma sekarang ni dengan keadaan industri yang memerlukan pekerja pun sekarang most of the time kalau kita tengok pada industri dia komen daripada dia orang adalah pekerja-pekerja yang dihasilkan adalah yang tak capable ataupun most of the time the way they work is different compared to ada generation gap between managers now and then the new recruitment yang dia orang ambil tu. So, ranking apa semua tu is different. So I think benda tu ada kaitan dengan cara pembelajaran ataupun teknologi wise lah yang kata telah menyebabkan kita cara pemikiran kita, cara kerja kita ni cepat dan kadang-kadang benda tu jadi bolos banyak tempat.
Saya sekarang ni kan, I would like to say as chair of MQA, kita ada tukar kurikulum. Saya rasa sekarang ni kan dengan 12 Malaysia Plan, dia dah recognize sekarang ni TVET and sekarang ni with TVET kita ada advances we call advanced diploma. Advanced diploma in TVET. Maknanya in technology skills like data scientist, data curator, dia kena ada diploma level, degree level, PhD level. Tapi gaji dia tak boleh sama macam diploma biasa because mereka ni lebih hebat. They need to know a little bit more ni. So MQA dah buka for that to happen and kerajaan pun dah terima for that to happen in terms of salary scale. So this is where I think the curriculum of the future librarians of in information science and whatnot, I think kena tukar. And this is where I say pada kalau macam Nur Aziah ke siapa ke yang the retired group but there's now part and parcel of the professional librarian society ke apa should now come forward to MQA and say you want to change the COPA for this library science supaya the future sekarang ni you tak ada gap tak? Because right now you gonna have the gap because the current librarian may not be as data savvy and data analytic curation stewardship yang sama macam that is expected once the metadata starts to come in big time. So that's why I rasa that the future you need to change the curriculum and this is where your contribution would be to change the COPA such that library science apa semua ni is going to change and create new people that with new knowledge that close the gap and now can provide information fast because as far as I'm concerned sekarang ni time is essence. You kata nak kristal nak lama yang tu tak apa tapi sekarang like I said post COVID everything needs to be fast. Everything needs agile response, fast response because if you don't do that you'll be obliterated. So that's why saya rasa even the library also need to move fast. Kalau tak boleh outsource there are a lot of people now who have been trained no don't outsource hantar. That's why KKM sekarang ni pun hantar dia punya people to academy science to train data analyst because Malaysia, the whole Malaysia tak cukup data analyst untuk nak buat this. So they train dekat academy for 6 months and among with our data analyst and then there's a difference now between training dengan real data like MySejahtera is real data rather than training dengan data-data yang you just dapat sebagai sampel. You boleh main 2-3 kali but it means nothing. But real data have real solution, real challenges yang you tak anticipate what is the problem. So this is the best kind of training for the future ni. So kalau ada lah di kalangan mereka-mereka KP-KP ni saya offer lah dekat academy to now come to talk to my CEO and see whether you can dapatkan position for your your librarian to now take up 6 months at least training for becoming a data analyst so that now you can close the gap to be faster in how you jawab pada industry or how you jawab pada researcher dan sebagainya. Itu something that I can offer now lah. You have to have that new training.
Ada lagi yang lain nak bertanya?
Okay.
Any other questions?
So tadi di mana daripada UTHM tadi yang boleh take up ke yang UTHM collaboration for frugal internet Valentino, you dekat Unimas kan? So many area that can now benefit from this.
Dekat Sarawak sekarang ni memang di bawah Perpustakaan Negeri, dan memang ada menyambung semula perkhidmatan yang servis-servis dekat rural area tu di bawah jawatankuasa JKR dan juga Kementerian Kesihatan Malaysia. Memang dia orang ada projek yang tu. Jadi state teruskan lagi untuk mengekalkan lagi visibility dan internet di setiap rural area di dalam negeri Sarawak lah. Sebab dulu memang ada kalau tak silap saya sebelum ni memang di bawah kerjasama Jabatan JKR, Kementerian Kesihatan Malaysia dan juga dan KKM untuk menggerakkan internet di kawasan luar bandar. Dan dia memang ambil daripada Kementerian Kesihatan Malaysia dan macam Unimas, banyak program yang telah kita dibuat di peringkat universiti. Misalnya di Bario ada pusat senti maklumat setiap kawasan di rural area dan termasuk di Longan Bundut dan sebagainya. Jadi banyak aktiviti dan juga internet yang di-provide oleh Kementerian di bawah Unimas dengan kolaborasi bersama agensi-agensi lain lah di seluruh Malaysia.
Ya.
Jadi
Boleh sorry, saya tak nak masuk Valentino.
Sabah pun ada juga konsortium
So,
tersebut.
kalau Sabah ni dan I think on the West Coast pun jangan kata semua orang available for internet. So di kawasan but like I said, think about having your library services beyond just your university students, like other students yang sekarang tak boleh balik because tak masuk lagi because of COVID. They can get access also to the resources of the closest library.
Kekangan yang berlaku sekarang macam yang Datuk cakap tu, kekangannya macam student di dalam kampus pun masih di bawah student yang final year yang dibenarkan untuk masuki kampus. Maknanya strict tu daripada kampus sendiri kepada komuniti dalam kampus sendiri. Jadi untuk kita tampung yang di luar kampus tu satu yang mungkin boleh dipertimbangkan lah di masa sekiranya dah dibuka.
As I said, frugal internet service, it will break the barrier.
Yes.
So your resources now is now available. Budak tak payah masuk kat library pun, dah tak payah main dekat library pun, tapi boleh access your library ni. Tapi kalau librarians work as a consortium, this is something that can be done to break all the barrier. Sebab lah ni, you want as many people to access your knowledge, the resources, rather than be exclusive only to each university. This is the new thing that we need now. Sharing information.
Macam yang Datuk cakap tu lah, misalnya yang My Thesis pun, thesis yang seluruh Malaysia pun kita dah, kalau Unimas kita dah buka kepada semua pengguna di Unimas, boleh access semua page tesis tersebut. Maknanya student tak perlu datang ke library untuk dapat tesis tersebut, tapi kita bagi full access, full page untuk diorang tengok.
InsyaAllah.
Okay. Saya rasa ada lagi soalan. Kalau tak ada, saya ingin Datuk memberi sedikit orang kata pesan-pesanan kepada KPKP dan TKP-TKP yang ada di sini.
Saya rasa dah banyak dah yang saya cakap tadi. Saya mohon maaf sekiranya ada challenges nampak menggerunkan, tapi that is a reality that you have to face, and I think it's going to be challenging times in the future. It require all the skill, the wisdom that you have, and saya rasa mereka-mereka yang dah pencen ni patut dipanggil balik as advisory panel kepada library professional yang ada, supaya sekarang ni you can make the change. Like I said, dekat akademi ramai kami pun orang pencen juga, but and we volunteer, we volunteer, but we can still create an impact. So when the heart and the will is there, and the semangat to make a difference is there, it shouldn't stop you. It is not a factor to stop you from creating the kind of impact that needs to be there, because this is the future for librarians. That I think semangat yang ada tu jangan continue, jangan stop lah. You know, let the fire continue to be there. You know, for the country and for the nation. Yeah.
Okay, terima kasih Datuk. Saya rasa banyak yang ketua-ketua persekawan dan TKPC dicabar. Cabaran-cabaran tu saya rasa patutlah disambut. Memang itulah realitinya. Macam tadi Datuk offer juga untuk library analyst di Akademi Sains. Jadi saya rasa itu satu peluang yang baik, because the future is about data. Perubahan itu akan datang bukan esok tapi sudah pun berlaku. Jadi we have to be prepared for that. Jadi saya bagi pihak Urustia Jawatankuasa Excelib ingin mengucapkan banyak terima kasih kepada Profesor Datuk, sebab saya tengok komen di sini tak puas katanya nak lagi sesi-sesi seperti ini, sebab this is what people from outside library punya ideas, because kalau dengan cadangan daripada kita di situ jugalah, tapi kalau kita sesi-sesi seperti ini sebenarnya membuka minda kita, walaupun memang menggerunkan Datuk, saya pun tengok sangat menggerunkan dan memerlukan ketua persatuan betul-betul transform. It's not a small transformation, but the big transformation, and to be very creative about thinking of the future. Itu yang saya harapkan KPKP untuk kekal relevan sebenarnya. Saya tak boleh nak cerita panjang, jadi saya buat sesi baru nanti jadi saya bagi pihak Urustia ingin mengucapkan sekali lagi terima kasih. Saya rasa ianya telah memberi, it really inspires us. Tajuknya pun inspiring kan, so it already inspires us to move forward. Jadi dari itu saya sekali lagi bagi Pak Urustia ucap terima kasih atas kesudian Datuk. Saya tahu Datuk sangat sibuk dan peluang ini saya rasa mungkin insya-Allah kita akan berjumpa di sesi lain lagi. InsyaAllah, terima kasih.
All the best everyone to face.
Terima kasih Datuk.
Bye bye.
Terima kasih.
Bye.
Dari itu saya serahkan majlis seterusnya kepada Puan Siti Rauda.
Okey. Terima kasih Puan Aziah. Majlis mengucapkan terima kasih kepada Yang Berbahagia Datuk Profesor Datuk Dr. Asma binti Ismail dan Puan Moderator di atas perkongsian sebentar tadi. Para hadirin dihormati, bagi meraihkan majlis sebagai tanda kenangan, para hadirin diminta untuk mengaktifkan kamera masing-masing untuk sesi bergambar. Ya, harap semua bersedia. Okey, dengan kiraan 1, 2, 3. Sekali lagi, thumbs up. 1, 2, 3. Baik, ucapan terima kasih di atas kerjasama semua. Alhamdulillah, berakhirnya sesi bergambar sebentar tadi, maka kita telah sampai ke penghujung program Excelib seri ketiga berkaitan dengan modul kepimpinan individu. Semoga ianya memberi pengalaman dan ilmu yang baru kepada kita semua pada hari ini. Mohon peserta program masih berada di dalam talian kerana program ini akan diteruskan dengan taklimat tugasan kumpulan. Sebelum itu, pihak jawatankuasa program juga telah menyediakan e-borang pengesahan kehadiran dan e-borang penilaian program di ruang chat. Mohon kerjasama semua untuk melengkapkan borang-borang tersebut kerana ia akan digunakan untuk penilaian dan markah individu di penghujung program Excelib ini. Sekian, terima kasih.
Datuk, thank you so much Datuk.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much Datuk. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Terima kasih Datuk lagi.
Terima kasih banyak Datuk.
InsyaAllah lagi.
Wah, we'll do the best for the country ya.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, true Datuk. True. Assalamualaikum.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi.
Bye. Take care.
Stay
Stay
safe.
safe.
InsyaAllah, terima kasih.
Thank you Datuk.
Thank you. Take care.
Assalamualaikum.
Hadirin sekalian, nampaknya sampai di sini saja tugasan saya sebagai pengacara majlis pada hari ini. Semoga sebelum ini saya mohon ampun dan maaf andai kata terkhilaf tutur bicara sepanjang pengendalian acara pada hari ini. Dengan itu, izinkan saya mengundurkan diri dan saya serah acara selanjutnya di bawah kendalian Sekretariat Program. Sekian, terima kasih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Salam.